Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. I have a group of people that are doing rehab in Canada, and I wanted to send a shout out to them. Hi folks, because they have been really sweet about watching my channel and really enjoying my videos and trying to emulate some of them. So I appreciate that, and I wanted to tell you that I have not forgotten you, and I wanted to make a card especially for you folks. So with that being said, I thought I would make one with this daisy stamp. My good friend, who was so instrumental last year in helping me with the collection of stamp supplies for our friends in Puerto Rico, said she loves Gerber daisies, and she's part of this group. And I thought I would make a card for her with this stamp. This is the closest stamp I have to what I think a Gerber daisy looks like. I hope I'm close. I'm also going to be using this stamp, and this is from Rubber Stampede, and the most I have on it is this. It says Aspen A126F, and this one is from Inkadinkado, and it is number 97774-0, and it's, let's see if it has anything else on it. Nope, that's about it. So what I'm going to do, I have my MISTI, but I'm not really using it as a MISTI. I'm using it for kind of painting on it and stamping into it. So I'm also going to be using these Arteza, I'm sorry, I do not know the real name of them, Real Brush Markers for this technique. And I'm going to be using a couple different colors on the daisy. And if I have to go back in afterwards and do more work on it, then I will. But in the meantime, we're just going to be doing some stamping with a few different colors. I'm going to pull all the ones out that I really like, and we'll play with them as we go. I'm going to be stamping a lot of these daisies, well, a few of these daisies. I'm going to start with this one where I'm going to do a darker orange. This is the color of mine. Mine has a name, and this is Orange A112. A lot of Artezas don't have a name on them, so I'm just sharing with you that mine do. In case you want to emulate mine, that's the number on it. And then I'm going to go in with Orange Rust, that's A169, and I'm just going to dot that around the center. Then I'm going to do the edges in this orange, which is Cadmium Orange, A140. And hopefully, I'm just painting this on, as you can see, and I'm hoping that I don't miss any areas, but if I do, we can go back in afterwards with more colors and play with them afterwards. These work best, I found, if you use them in the up and down position when you're painting on a stamp like this one. And I'm just going to stamp this right there and hold it there for a second, and hopefully the cushion underneath will help. Look at all the colors I have on my fingers from stamping already. I have some black on there and some other colors. That's perfect. Then I'm going to take my water brush that comes with these markers, and I'm going to go in with it and spread my colors around a little bit. I'm going to do another scrap with leaves on it. Okay, so the greens we're going to use this one, which is Crocodile Green A126. And I'm going to use this one, which is Seaweed Green A120. Then I'm going to use a brown that's a very light brown, and it is Ginger. I forgot the A138. Just want to go down the center of that, kind of brush a little bit over the rest of it, and then I'm going to scribble that off. See how that does. There's a little weird stuff around the edges. Apparently that brown did not want to color in there, so it's going to do a little bit of that. Just put a little bit of it here and there. Alright, so then we're going to get our water brush and just play with it a little bit. I want to do 3 leaves because I think 3 will offset enough of the Gerber daisies to make it work well. That's my plan anyway. I'm going to use Stampin' This is the precursor to a MISTI or a Stamp Perfect. What you do is you put this little plastic piece next to your stamp where you've stamped it, and then you pull your stamped image out. Well, I just screwed it up because I moved it, but then the next thing you do is you'd re-stamp in the same place. Well, you know, we have nothing to lose, so might as well just do it. So then the next thing you do is you reconstitute your inks, or you know, whatever you're using. Like I'm using this brush marker, but you just want to have a really good colored image with the colors that you want to offset the colors you already put on that background, because we're going to just re-stamp over it. So you just want to make sure that these colors will give your image a little bit more pop. Let's see how I did for lining it back up. Probably not too great, but you never know. Wow, that was amazing, wasn't it? Are you shocked? I'm shocked. Okay, holding the Stampin' Magic again, put it right in that corner and you push down. Hopefully it's still lined up. Huh. Well, those colors sure didn't change it much, but I guess that's the way it wants to be, so we're going to just let it go. I'm going to color it in a little bit. I really like this leaf stamp. I don't know about you guys, but when I get a stamp like that that makes me happy, I play with it way too much. So those are our 2 flowers, or leaves. We need 1 more. I think I already said that. I mean, obviously we're going for a watercolory look. We want it to look like the lines are a little bit blurred. We don't want it to be like a perfect image like a stamped image would be. We're trying to make this look like I watercolored these all by myself with my bare hands, which of course I didn't. But that's what these brushes allow you to do. Alright, our next step is I die cut a bunch of, well, 4 of the words hello, and I've already glued 2 of them together, and here's my 3rd one to glue on. I put the glue on them so that it would have a chance to set up while I was gluing the other ones down. So that's a little tip for you if you are going to glue a bunch of die cuts together like this. That's what I recommend, is putting glue on them first and then letting it set for just a second so that the glue kind of adheres to the layer that you're laying down, and it makes it so the rest of them want to stick to it. And I colored my top layer Tangelo Twist. It didn't really lay the way I wanted it to, as the ink didn't, I don't know, the ink just didn't stick on it the way I wanted it to. So we're going to have to play with that a little bit. You can see how thick this is. This is not a lightweight deal. This is a really thick, nice sentiment. And I like to do that because it really does make a big difference. Man, are my hands inky. Okay, so that's that. I'm probably going to go over it again with ink. And the way I thought I would do it is I would take my Tangelo Twist and my water brush going. There we go. Get some ink off the pad, and then I'm going to go over the die cuts, and I'm going to go over the edges, the sides, like the whole thing with this, so that everything is dyed. Because like I said before, I only really dyed this top layer, so the other layers are still like a lighter orange and not what we want. We want everything to be the same color, if we can get them to be. And right now I'm just dyeing all the underneath layers. Okay, we're going to set our hello aside to dry. It always helps if you can put something a little bit heavy on it. I mean, it doesn't have to be heavy, but like this ink pad is what we're going to use. I'm just going to lay it on there like that, and hopefully it keeps all my layers together. Then, I didn't explain what I'm going to do with my card, but the way we're going to make our card is we're going to use a 5x7 card base underneath. So just so you can see the 5x7, not, I'll have to explain it a little differently. I'm going to use a 5x7, but I'm not going to be using the front of it. I'm going to be using acetate as the front of it. And so our card base is actually going to be a clear front, and then this piece of 5x7 cardstock is one of those really inexpensive pre-made card bases. It's very, very flimsy, so what I thought I would do with this to make it work is just glue it shut, and that way we have a much better card base. I decided I wanted to put a little bit of the veining back into my flowers and my leaves. So after I cut everything out, this is the best time to do it because, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, so I went over them each. I stamped my leaf. Yeah, this is messy. And then you're going to line it up exactly. Ooh, don't drop it. You're going to line it up exactly like it was before, and you're going to put it down like that, and then you're going to rub it over the whole surface, and then when you pick it up, I don't know if you can see that, but I got my veining back. Wait, I'll show you the difference between one that I haven't done yet. Here's the one I didn't do. Here's the one I just did. Can you see the difference? See the difference? Hopefully you can. I did the same thing with my flowers because my flowers also had lost the definition of the little dots in the center. So I thought if I just went over it with another color, it worked like a champ. It was harder to line those up, obviously, than it was to do these, because these are pretty simple because the image is so spot on. Just lay it on there. Get your fingers a little dirty, but that's the name of crafting, right? You get yourself a little dirty. And you pick it up and see the veining. I like it. Okay. Now we're going to put this card together. Let's get this bad boy ready to roll. Made my front of my card out, I think I said I'm making it out of acetate. And the piece that I had is about 5 1/4 inches wide by 7 inches tall. I went with a thicker piece of acetate that I found in my stash, and this is just packaging I got from my from cards. So it's not like you're looking for something really high tech. You know, you don't have to spend a bunch of money on this piece of acetate. And I'm gonna score mine. Looks like 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to do it twice, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do it from this side, just so I have a really good score, so that when I want to bend that over, I can. I'm just going to bend it over like this. Then we're going to use our bone folder and burnish it down, because this is what's going to attach it to our card base. So this is the front of our card. And the inside of our card, I glued together, as I told you. It looks like this now. So this is the outside of the card, and I'm just going to glue it together like that, and then all my pieces I'm going to put on top of that. So before we go any further with our card, I thought it made sense for me to kind of put our acetate together with our card. And our card's going to go like this. I don't know if you can see that piece of acetate right there. And what we're going to do, I was hoping I could put my, remember our card is not going to open. It's the message will be written on the back of the card. So I'm going to take my tear tape and I'm going to run it right on that edge, as tight to the edge as we can make it. And then we'll take the backing off of it. I got a little extra there at the end. Don't want that. Take our backing off. Okay, so I'm going to do this where I'm going to pull back. I'm going to pull back on my acetate fold that I made. I'm going to put my card in there so it lines up perfectly. And then I'm going to push my acetate onto the tear tape that I put on there. And then we're going to take our bone folder and we're going to do some serious bone foldering. Yes, I know it's burnishing, but don't you appreciate the word bone foldering much, much better? I mean, come on. Wouldn't you rather have that word? Okay, so there's our card. This is the front of our card. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. So I think the first thing we can do, I think it's safe to assume that our leaves can be glued in place. And I'm using wet glue, because why wouldn't I? And I'm going to put my glue on my acetate, because then I'll know exactly where it's at in relation to my leaf. And I'm going to put my leaf like that. So that's where we stand right now. Here's our card. When you open it, I mean, clearly, there's the back of the card. It's just glued on. And I'm sure it was Lindsay that made an acetate fronted card before. And I thought it was so cool. And I really like the look of this. I need to, bend some of my things up a little bit. But I do like the look of this. I just wish I had something to set on each of these. Let me do some looking and I'll be back. So what I decided was I'm going to use these little dots that I have in this kit. Hopefully they'll work. I'm trying to get my light better on the card. Sorry if it's bugging you. A little bit better. I did this one at the bottom and then I went around it with stickles in a little circle with making dots. So I also colored the centerpiece with a color that matched better. Like in this one, I'm going to use orange. See if that changes the color at all. And I'm using alcohol markers. Alcohol markers will color, they'll change the colors of plastic like that a little bit. I mean, it obviously, since it's already pink, it's not going to change it to yellow, but I'm going to make little dots going around the outside of this flower. These little plastic pieces that I have for the centers just weren't big enough to really make a focal point, and so I tried a few different things, and the dots seemed to work the best. Here it is dry. I had a little bit of issue with my stickles kind of spreading out, especially the generic ones, and so the ones that I had underneath or around my hello I took off, and I think I'm going to put some of these on instead because I have some of the same color of these, and I think they will really go with my whole look, if you will. So I thought I'd just throw 3 of these on like that. Then all we need to do is trim it, and Rich said he thought it kind of looked like a hot mess, but that was before he knew I had to trim it, and then he got over it, or else he just wanted to make up for the fact that he thought it was a hot mess. He said it was just too much. It was just too much going on. So with that being in mind, I'm going to hold my card in place like this, and I'm going to trim my edges. So this is what it looks like once I've trimmed off the corners. I think that helped a lot. It helps you to focus in on the hello, and the flowers are still popping, which makes me happy. So let's do our envelope, and I'm going to be using a couple of stamps from the Floral Filigree Wreath set. Try saying that a couple times fast. Look, I dropped it on there and got ink on there already. I'm using what looks like a Gerber daisy and the leaves that go along with it, and I'm going to trim it before I do anything. Actually, it's the one I have to trim is the leaf, and I'm just going to go in under the edge there and just kind of hack away the rubber that I don't want. Because if you have a stamp that's in the center and you have a lot of excess space around the outside, if you aren't super careful, and what I mean by super careful is if you rock your stamp at all, you're going to end up with that line. So in order to eliminate the little line on the edge of your stamp, all you do is you trim it like this. It doesn't take much work. You just want to make sure that any place that a line could form around the edge of your stamp, that you've eliminated it. So you really just want the stamp to be left, the stamped image to be left behind. That made sense, didn't it? Kinda. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of different things with this. I'm going to use orange ink, and I'm going to. This is only orange. It's an old Stampin' Up ink that doesn't exist anymore, but it's basic orange. It's not like it's tutti frutti. It's just orange. And then I'm going to take, this is a Hero Art Red Reactive, and I'm just going to take that and I'm going to kind of dab around the edges of my daisy so that I have some red. And And I'm just going to stamp that right there. I'm going to hold it in place for a second. And I don't know if you can see, but just a little bit of red around the outside is what we get from doing that. And I like that. So that's what I'm doing it for. Because, you know, it's your card, so you do what you want to do. But I'm going to do this, if that's okay with you. I'm going to do the back one. I got a little more red in the top of that part. I'm going to try for a little more red on this one. I'm going to do 3 on the back. Then we're going to get our green. And I'm using, again, an old Stampin' Up! Ink that I don't know if they still make anymore, called Old Olive. And I'm just going to put some leaves on our, missed. If you've ever used these stamps, the thing I like about them is that if I make a mistake, I can almost always stamp back over it and get a good enough, see this one, only part of it I stamped, so I stamped like a shadow stamp under it, and it came out fine. So just a thought for you, that if you want to try peg stamps, I highly encourage you to do that. So there is my envelope. It matches exactly because it's the same colors I used in my card, and there's even that splotch in the front as an extra bonus that matches as well. I'm going to use my Mono Sand Eraser. It's from Tombow. You can get this just about anywhere, and this will take off ink off of a lot of things. And I'm just going to show you this just for the heck of it. It takes the bulk of that ink right off there, so you can't really see it as much. So here's our card and our envelope. I hope that you enjoyed this, that you'll give this technique a try. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe. To my friends in Canada, keep plugging away. I know that this rehab is going to work for you. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.